There's something curious happening in our hyper-connected world. While billions share their every thought, meal, and milestone online, there exists a growing group of people who remain conspicuously absent. They're online, yes. They see your posts, your stories, your updates, but they never contribute their own. You probably know someone like this. Perhaps you are someone like this, and the question always emerges: what's really going on beneath that digital silence? It's tempting to write them off as antisocial or disconnected, but that explanation barely scratches the surface. Behind their choice to remain invisible lies a complex web of psychology, one that reveals profound truths about identity, authenticity, and what it means to exist in the age of endless documentation. For many of these individuals, silence isn't absence, it's agency. It's the deliberate choice to control their narrative by withholding it. Because social media has fundamentally altered how we construct identity. It celebrates visibility, it commodifies attention. Yet those who refuse to participate often possess the clearest perspective. They observe without feeling compelled to react. They process before responding. They understand patterns others miss entirely. Research reveals something compelling. Individuals who post infrequently tend to exhibit higher levels of self-regulation, reflective thinking, and emotional autonomy. They show decreased susceptibility to social comparison and reduced dependence on external affirmation. Simply put, they're not performing an identity, they're exploring one. And in an era saturated with carefully curated personas, that's revolutionary. Because if we're being truthful, most social media activity isn't genuine communication. It's identity architecture. It's an endless audition for acceptance. Each image, each update, each carefully worded post whispers, "Here's who I claim to be. Please validate this version of me." But when someone exits that cycle, something fundamental changes. Their self-worth detaches from digital metrics. They stop narrating their existence. They start inhabiting their experiences directly, unmediated by screens or audiences. This is the hidden psychology driving many who abstain from posting. They hunger for genuineness in environments that feel increasingly artificial. They don't despise technology. They simply can't locate themselves within its distortions anymore. This isn't technophobia or misanthropy. It's refusing to compress the fullness of existence into consumable fragments. Because once you've witnessed how effortlessly perception can be manufactured, you begin cherishing what resists digitization: nuance, complexity, imperfection, reality. For some, the decision emerges from burnout. Perhaps they once documented everything until gradually it lost its meaning. They recognized that each shared moment created invisible pressure for escalation. They weren't experiencing life anymore. They were producing content, so they withdrew quietly, without fanfare or explanation. Just a gradual fading from timelines and feeds. But here's what people misinterpret. Choosing not to post doesn't equal not feeling. It doesn't signal indifference. Often it indicates they care profoundly about authenticity, about significance, about preserving what matters most. There's a psychological concept called sense of ownership. It describes the feeling that something belongs intimately to you, a thought, a memory, an encounter. When you broadcast it, that ownership dilutes slightly. The moment transforms into shared territory, vulnerable to critique, distortion, even ridicule. So those who don't post often protect their ownership of life itself. They maintain their experiences as private territories, untouchable and uncompromised. And perhaps that's not retreat or dysfunction. Perhaps it's a subtle form of liberation. Consider this. When did you last do something significant without immediately wanting to share it? When did you last laugh, weep, or accomplish something without reflexively thinking of posting about it? That impulse, that compulsion to broadcast, isn't innate. It's cultivated. It's the result of years of likes, shares, and dopamine circuits conditioning our minds to conflate validation with worthiness. When someone steps outside that apparatus, it resembles rebellion, but it's also restoration. They rediscover the simplicity of doing things for their own sake again. Cooking without photographing, traveling without tagging, feeling without narrating. In that space, something reawakens, a form of self-knowledge that doesn't require witnesses. Yet not everyone abstaining from posting does so from tranquility. Some are motivated by fear of judgment, rejection, or misunderstanding. Social media has intensified what researchers call impression management anxiety. It's the perpetual awareness of being observed, even in your absence. For many, that's draining. They worry their words might be misinterpreted or worse, completely ignored. So they withdraw, not because they don't desire connection, but because the price of visibility seems unbearable. They want to be perceived, but authentically, not superficially. Paradoxically, the most silent people online often possess the most active inner worlds. They're not vacant, they're overflowing. They simply choose stillness over spectacle. There's profound philosophy embedded in that silence. In a culture constantly demanding, "Notice me," choosing invisibility becomes self-definition. It declares, "My existence transcends your perception of it." They might scroll through others' lives, observing, empathizing, sometimes aching, but they rarely project outward because they understand something fundamental. Not every experience demands documentation. Sometimes life's most transformative moments, growth, loss, metamorphosis, unfold quietly, privately, unrecorded. When you've lived through enough of those private transformations, you realize being unseen isn't equivalent to being meaningless. It's actually where authentic identity forms, not where it's performed for consumption. Here lies the contradiction. Social media promised connection. Instead, it frequently generates deeper isolation. When you stop posting, you abandon the chase for digital proximity and begin reconstructing genuine bonds. You notice who reaches out without status updates. You discover who remembers you without reminders. That kind of relationship, raw and unperformed, feels weightier, warmer, infinitely more substantial. Those who don't post inhabit that realm. They cultivate connections that don't require evidence. They find meaning in unshared moments, allowing life to unfold without converting it into content. Part of this involves identity security, knowing yourself even when nobody's watching. When you're comfortable in solitude, you don't need audiences to confirm your value. That's not arrogance, that's equilibrium. Ironically, those who never post often harbor the richest narratives. But they reserve them for moments when you're face to face, not screen to screen. Because authentic connection to them isn't quantified through comments or reactions. It's in shared silence, in genuine eye contact, in laughter that doesn't need documentation. These are people who contain entire universes, who reflect profoundly, observe continuously, and comprehend quietly. They don't require global applause for their existence. They simply need to live it. And perhaps, in a world desperate for visibility, their silence isn't deficiency. It's reflection, a reminder that not everything meaningful requires broadcasting, that sometimes the most human act is keeping something entirely private. Something remarkable happens the longer someone remains off social media. They begin perceiving reality differently. Colors appear more vivid. Time moves more deliberately. Conversations feel more substantial. It's as though distancing from the noise makes everything tangible again. because when you stop performing, you start experiencing genuinely. There's quiet elegance in moving through life without documenting each step. You're not considering angles or aesthetics or captions. You're simply present, fully alive, immersed in moments instead of observing them from outside. That's something social media increasingly prevents us from accessing. But the psychology extends beyond preference. It's rooted in how our brains process validation. Each time we post and receive attention, likes, comments, reactions, our brains release dopamine, the neurochemical associated with reward and addiction. Gradually, we begin craving that validation. We start conceptualizing life in terms of shareable experiences rather than authentic ones. Now imagine someone resisting that cycle. Someone deliberately disconnecting from the dopamine loop. That's not apathy, that's discipline. It requires self-awareness to resist mechanisms designed for engagement. People who don't post often possess a strong internal locus of control, a psychological term meaning their self-worth and contentment originate internally, not from external approval. They don't need digital echoes of affirmation to believe in themselves. Here's what's even more revealing. Studies demonstrate that people who take extended breaks from posting or consuming social content often experience measurable improvements in emotional stability and life satisfaction. Because when your identity stops being constantly reflected back at you, it solidifies. It becomes authentic. You're no longer editing existence into digestible portions. You're living it in all its chaotic, beautiful, unfiltered totality. Perhaps that's the real revolution, remaining whole in a world that rewards fragmentation. But online silence doesn't always indicate serenity. Sometimes it conceals exhaustion. For many, social media became a space where they sought connection but found depletion instead. There's subtle emotional fatigue from witnessing everyone's highlight reels while still assembling your own reality. You begin comparing involuntarily. You question your worth despite knowing better. Eventually, some people step away, not from resentment, but from self-protection. They realize they don't owe the world a performance. They don't owe explanations for their silence, and they don't need to continually prove their happiness for it to be believed. That's one quiet truth of this generation. We've conflated visibility with value. We assume that mattering requires being noticed, but genuine meaning doesn't need witnesses. Some of your most significant moments, the ones that define you, will occur without anyone watching. No cameras, no captions, no audience. Just you. And perhaps those who don't post understand this best. They recognize that privacy isn't loneliness. It's intimacy with yourself. Because when you stop broadcasting every thought, you begin hearing your own again. You reconnect with parts of yourself lost in noise, your unspoken aspirations, your hidden fears, your internal guidance. There's something profoundly spiritual about that in today's world. It's not withdrawal, it's return. Naturally, it's not always peaceful. Moments of doubt arise, wondering if silence renders you invisible, if you're falling behind while others perform progress. But eventually, you notice something beautiful. Your worth doesn't vanish when nobody's looking. It remains steady, like the hum of a quiet room after chaos subsides. Perhaps that's authentic confidence, not loud self-declaration online, but calm self-assurance offline. Some say, if you didn't post it, did it happen? But truthfully, the things that shape you most rarely appear in feeds. Your growth, your heartbreaks, your private victories, your quiet kindnesses, they live in memory, not media. And perhaps that suffices. When psychologists discuss authentic self-expression, they emphasize congruence, alignment between who you are internally and who you present externally. But in the age of filters, that alignment constantly distorts. You begin existing as a version of yourself curated for approval. So when someone chooses not to post, it might be their method of maintaining congruence. of preserving that delicate truth between inner and outer worlds. They don't need everyone witnessing their feelings to validate their reality. They don't need to capture every sunset to remember its impact. They live fully and quietly. And here's the paradox. Those who live quietly often feel life most intensely. They're not distracted by performing it. They absorb details others overlook. The way light shifts across surfaces, the pause before someone speaks, the sound of distant laughter. They are present, and presence is the scarcest commodity in a world built on attention. But that very presence sometimes makes them misunderstood. People might label them as distant, enigmatic, even aloof. Yet look closer, and their silence isn't void. It's depth. It's the calm that comes from no longer needing to explain yourself to be understood. There's quiet confidence in not needing recognition from everyone, just understanding from a few. That's what people who don't post comprehend best. Not every truth belongs to crowds. Some parts of you deserve to remain untouched by algorithms and opinions, because once something becomes public, it stops being purely yours. It belongs to interpretation, to judgment, to trends. And some moments are too sacred for that. So next time you notice someone who never posts, don't assume they're hiding. Perhaps they're simply living. Perhaps they discovered peace in quiet corners of existence, the ones not illuminated by screen glow. Perhaps they're the ones who've remembered what the rest of us forgot, that being unseen doesn't mean being isolated, that being quiet doesn't mean being hollow, that sometimes the truest expression of identity is silence. Because ultimately, we're not meant to be performances. We're meant to be people. And those who don't post remind us of that with every quiet, unfiltered, beautifully invisible moment.